Hello there, dear friends, and welcome once again to the Relaxed Fantasy Review. Today, we're continuing our series in the Player's Handbook, the brand new 2024 Player's Handbook, talking about the backgrounds found within. Backgrounds in the new Player's Handbook are absolutely pivotal to character creation, discussing things like your ability score bump that you get, your feat that you get at level 1, because everyone gets origin feats now, as well as some skill proficiencies, a tool proficiency, and a little bit of roleplay background so that you can actually flesh out your character's story. So there's mechanics and their storytelling in this. I think that the backgrounds definitely needed the bump. A lot of characters in the old Player's Handbook just skimmed over it and weren't really that concerned with backgrounds, but now it is absolutely pivotal to making a good character. And today we're talking about the Hermit background. Story-wise, a personal favorite of mine, the idea that you spent most of your life out in the wild away from civilization, not really seeing people, not knowing a whole lot about society, and becoming at one with nature and the universe. That's a very appealing story to a person like me. But in the old Player's Handbook, it just didn't quite sell itself to me. I wasn't a big fan of the background mechanically. How does it look in the brand new book? We'll get to the mechanics in just a second. But before we do, I'd like to let you know, Relaxed Fantasy Review has memberships. For just $1 a month, you can support me here on YouTube and get a couple benefits. First, you get a little badge next to your name in the comments, letting folks know that you're a supporter. But also you get early access to my videos. I upload videos Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I upload them a day early for members only. If that interests you, you can click the join button just down there next to the subscribe button. I'd love to see you in the comments with your member badges. And if it doesn't interest you, that's totally fine too. Just being here to review this background with me, liking the videos, subscribing to the channel, this is the best way to support me, and I absolutely am thrilled that you're here, so thank you for watching my content. So the Hermit, starting off, we'll talk about their ability score increases. All backgrounds give you 3 ability scores to choose from. You can take a +2 and a +1 to 2 of them, or a +1 to all 3, that's up to you. The Hermit has, as their choices, Constitution, Wisdom, and Charisma. Charisma? Really? That's an odd one. I honestly can't see how they could justify a hermit having charisma as an ability score buff. You're not around people. Con and wisdom I get, and that's fine, but charisma is just a strange flavor fail. Not that I'm complaining, though. Charisma is the most common casting stat, covering 4 out of all the casters in D&D, as well as being absolutely pivotal to the social aspect of the game. Having a high charisma score is actually great. Bards and sorcerers and warlocks love this. As far as Constitution goes, that's another widespread ability score that you're going to want a good amount of. Casters want good concentration. Warriors and marshals want good hit points and resistance to like poisons and such. And then wisdom is possibly the most skill-oriented of the mental stats, focusing largely on your perception and your insight and other really, really good skills. The trick for me is that this is very clearly based on the caster mindset. If you were a martial of some kind, you'd want strength or dex. I mean, con is good to have, don't get me wrong, but nothing here is focusing on your damage dealing. So for me, this is very much a caster-based background. Wisdom and charisma are the 2 out of the 3 casting stats that are the most common. Intelligence is the least common. You don't usually want both of them. Like, you want to have either wisdom or charisma based on what your magic is based on. So for basically everybody who is either a wisdom or charisma based caster, this is fine. Good con and then good casting stat. I think that overall this is reasonably good. I would have liked to see strength or dex and then maybe just one of the castings. Wisdom would make sense. Yeah, so I think I'm going to give this 8 out of 10 overall. I think that you've got some good stuff here, and it is quite specific to like your magic user builds. And then your origin feat that you're going to get is the healer feat. I vibe with this. I think that storytelling-wise, this is good. The healer feat does a couple things. First of all, it allows you to utilize your healer's kit, which is an item that you can buy. For 5 gold pieces, you get a healer's kit, and it has 10 uses. And normally you would use it to stabilize a dying creature without making a medicine check. When a creature's making death saving throws, trying not to die, you use something like a healing spell or healing potion to just bring them back up. But if you don't have those, a healer's kit is the next best thing, just automatically making them stable. Other alternatives would be to spell Spare the Dying, or potentially using a medicine check. But that's like option 5 on the list. You know what I mean? And then the other thing is that during short rests, they can also sorry, I'm getting a little off track. The healer feat. We're not talking about healer's kits. We're talking about the healer feat. And when you have the healer feat, you can actually use the healer's kit to heal someone for hit points rather than just stabilize them. And the idea is that instead of just bringing them to 0 hit points, not making death saves, they will spend a hit die, one of their short rest-based hit dice. They add your proficiency bonus to it, and then that is how many hit points they recover. So this is an efficient use of a healer's kits, and the healer feat allows that. Then the other part of the healer feat is that during short rests, you can increase the amount of hit points people recover. Overall, it's okay. I think that having healing spells or healing potions is a better choice. But having a healer's kit as a backup, having a few of them, honestly, as a backup, that's what you're going to have with this particular feat. It's still an action to use, so action economy-wise, it's not the best. It's good as an emergency. It's an emergency-based feat. It's not something you're going to use every day. In fact, it's not something you're going to use that often, to be honest with you. I think the feat is 7 out of 10. It's okay in the situations that you're going to need it. You're definitely going to be happy you have it, but those situations aren't going to come up very much. You also get some skill proficiencies for this background. You're going to get the medicine skill proficiency. So once again, we're going on to this whole healer idea, as well as the religion skill. Very much leaning into the cleric or druid vibes here. I could definitely, grab wisdom, constitution, healer feat, medicine, and religion. This is just cleric in my brain. Religion is a good skill. It gives you a lot of information about enemies and situations you may face in your average adventure. The medicine skill, again, it's one of those things where now we're into much later choices. Again, you want potions, you want healing spells, you want a healer's kit, you want Spare the Dying. Doing a medicine check is like not my first pick, it's not my 5th pick. I think medicine as a skill, again, it's an emergency-based skill. I give it 6 out of 10. Religion, I give 8 out of 10. And then finally, for this background, you get a tool proficiency that is the herbalism kit. Now, I used to think the herbalism kit was relatively niche. It's something that you would use to, mess around with natural plants to create, like, anti-venom and stuff like that. But in this player's handbook, there is a very, very clear improvement to the herbalism kit, and that is that when you are proficient with it, you can use it to make healing potions. And it doesn't even say what specifically you need. It just says you need to have your herbalism kit and 25 gold pieces worth of materials, and once a day, you can make a healing potion with it. That's awesome. Healing potions, unlike spell scrolls and that sort of stuff, don't require you to know magic. You could do this if you were a barbarian, in theory. And healing potions are some of the most useful things to have, especially in the early game, when spell slots are low and people need to save them for concentration spells and powerful attacks. Saving a spell slot for an emergency healing word is tricky. Having healing potions on hand is very valuable, and being able to just make them yourself every day and stockpile them, that's incredibly valuable. I think that having an herbalism kit as a proficiency, now that it has been clearly spelled out in the rules how it works, this is a 10 out of 10 tool proficiency. And I want this proficiency on every character. That doesn't mean I'm going to want the Hermit, though. See, the Hermit really benefits some characters more than others. It leans so heavily into healing, recovery, and knowledge like that that it kind of bypasses the rest of adventuring. I suppose they threw charisma into the ability score, so there was more here than just I am a life domain cleric and I can do like 7 things to bring your hit points back and keep you from dying. Not that I think that's a bad playstyle. I just think it's so specific that I'm having a difficult time picturing who I build this with otherwise. Like, yeah, having these proficiencies on someone who isn't a primary caster who can heal is fine, but the charisma and wisdom based casters are the healers traditionally. Druids, clerics, even sorcerers if they have divine soul, or bards. They're already healers. This is just stacking more and more emergency options on them. And I know it sounds like I'm complaining. It's because the Hermit has now been shoehorned a little bit. Now, when you do play into that, you're going to be the best primary, secondary, tertiary healer in all of D&D. You will have so many options for healing. Your party's never going to die. But if you aren't playing into that vibe, or if you already have another prominent healer in your party, then most of these abilities are never going to see use. I think overall, the Hermit I'm going to give an 8 out of 10. Making healing potions, very, very potent. Having the ability scores for your wisdom and charisma casters, also very potent. Everything else here feels incidental. I think that I'm going to give Hermit an 8 out of 10, simply on the fact that when you do play into that niche, it's going to be good. And ability score wise, it appeals to most casters, just not wizards and artificers, I suppose. And yeah, so Hermits is one of those that you're either going to love it or hate it. I think that I like versatility. If I'm playing a healer or a wisdom or charisma based caster, I will give this background some solid consideration. And if I'm playing anyone else, then I'm not even going to think about it. So I guess that earns an 8 out of 10 from me. This has been the Relaxed Fantasy Review. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe down below. Have a look for the join button down there, and keep your eyes peeled for more background reviews coming down the line soon. Have a good one, my friends.